All right, so today we're diving into something pretty big, Zakat.
Yeah.
And you already know it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, right?
It's absolutely.
Huge deal. Like prayer, fasting.
Yeah, core to the faith.
Yeah, the bedrock of it all. And we're looking at this article from SEMA, and they do some really great work with Syrian refugees. But the article really digs into like what makes Zakat so different. You know, it's more than just charity, right?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's really woven into like the essence of Islamic life.
Okay.
You can think about it as a spiritual duty, a social obligation, all kind of rolled into one.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that, everything we have is a blessing from Allah, and it's our responsibility to share those blessings with others.
Yeah. So it's about gratitude, but it's also about action, right?
Absolutely.
Taking that gratitude and turning it into something real, something tangible that helps other people.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by this idea of barakah that the article mentions.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's connected to this idea of zakat.
It really is.
Okay.
Barakah is this beautiful concept of blessings, of abundance, of aligning yourself with divine principles.
Okay.
When you give zakat, you're not just giving away money. You're opening yourself up to receive more barakah in your life and in your wealth.
So it's about kind of recognizing that true wealth isn't just about like the number in your bank account.
Exactly.
But it's about how you use those blessings to better yourself and to better others.
It's about how much you give and how you use it.
Wow, I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's like this ripple effect. This one act of giving kind of creates these positive waves that go way beyond just that like transaction.
Absolutely.
So we talk about the spiritual element, but then there's also like the very practical side, right? Like, okay, how do we actually do this?
Right. And
the article mentions this thing called nisab.
Okay.
What is nisab all about?
So nisab is essentially like the starting line for zakat.
Okay.
It's the minimum amount of wealth you need to have before you're obligated to pay zakat.
Okay.
So, think of it as a way of making sure that zakat is a meaningful contribution, while also not, being too much of a burden on those who are just getting by themselves.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's say you've got more than that minimum amount.
Yeah.
How much are we talking about giving away here?
So the standard rate for zakat is 2.5% of your qualifying wealth.
Okay.
And it's calculated on things like, gold, silver, cash savings, business assets.
Okay.
Investments.
So it's really like a...
Yeah, it's a holistic look.
At your financial situation.
At your financial standing.
Okay. 2.5% doesn't sound too overwhelming.
Right.
Especially when you think about like the good that it can do.
Absolutely.
And, you're not just sending a check off to some vague entity or anything like that.
Right.
The article actually lists 8 specific categories of people who are eligible to receive zakat.
Yeah, that's right. It's not just about giving to whoever needs it most. It's about trying to meet specific needs within the community. Of course, supporting the poor and needy is a top priority.
Right.
But it goes beyond that. The Quran lays out like who these people should be. And it's really fascinating how detailed it gets.
Okay.
You have those struggling with debt.
Right.
People who are seeking to like free captives.
Wow.
There's even categories for like supporting those working to spread, Islamic knowledge.
Huh. So it's not just about helping like one person at a time. It's about like lifting up,
Yeah.
society as a whole.
Yeah, it's about strengthening like the fabric of the community from all these different angles.
Yeah, and I imagine it kind of creates this cool cycle, right?
Yeah.
Where when you give zakat, you're not just helping those individuals, but you're actually contributing to this more just and equitable society for everybody.
It's this beautiful cycle of giving.
That's amazing. That makes me think about something else the article talks about, which is sadaqah.
Okay.
And it's also about giving, but it's different from zakat, right?
Yeah, you're right. So zakat is this obligation, right? This pillar we've been talking about.
Right.
But sadaqah is more like voluntary charity.
Okay.
Acts of kindness from the heart.
Okay.
Think of it as like going above and beyond your duty. It can be anything from giving money to a cause that you really believe in.
Yeah.
To just smiling at someone on the street.
Yeah.
Or like lending a helping hand to someone in need.
So zakat is about like fulfilling this specific religious duty. And then sadaqah is more about like expressing your faith through just everyday generosity.
Yeah, cultivating that spirit of giving in every aspect of your life.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a lot about like how Zakat works, but let's talk about, I think the elephant in the room here, which is that like there are some misconceptions about Zakat floating around out there. For example, some people compare Zakat to taxes.
Okay.
What would you say to that?
I mean, I could see why people would make that comparison.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit of an oversimplification because sure, they both involve like a percentage of your wealth. But the why behind it is totally different.
Okay.
Because taxes are collected by the government to fund public services and infrastructure, things like that. But Zakat is this deeply personal act of worship.
Okay.
Where you're establishing this direct link between you and those who need help.
It's about fulfilling a divine command, not a civic duty.
Exactly.
Another misconception that I've heard is that Zakat can only be given to Muslims.
Right.
Is that true?
So that's actually a really nuanced issue.
Okay.
And there's actually like some ongoing scholarly debate about this. So while the Quran does prioritize those 8 categories that we talked about, which are mostly within the Muslim community, some scholars argue that in really specific situations, like, for example, if there's like extreme hardship and there just aren't eligible Muslims who are available right away, that Zakat could potentially extend to non-Muslims as well. It's about alleviating suffering and upholding compassion, no matter what someone's faith is.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that interpretations can change, right? And that there's always room for compassion and understanding in these conversations.
Yeah.
Speaking of different approaches, I want to circle back to SEMA a little bit.
Okay.
Because the article talked about how they're using Zakat to make a real difference in the lives of Syrian refugees.
Yeah, they really embody that like modern take on Zakat that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Because they're using these donations to provide like really essential things to people who've been displaced by conflict, food shelter, education, healthcare.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It's amazing how you can take something that's like this ancient practice and then adapt it to address these like really difficult problems that we have in the world today.
It speaks to like the enduring power of this practice. It's not just a historical concept.
Right.
It's something that's still alive and well.
Yeah.
And it's still uplifting communities and changing lives today.
It's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah.
This practice that's been around for centuries, still so relevant today.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I don't know, it's not just theoretical, it's like, it's actually making a difference in the world.
It's real people getting real help.
Exactly.
And what's really interesting to me is that you don't even have to be Muslim to really appreciate what Zakat is all about.
Yeah.
Even if you're not obligated to pay it.
Yeah.
Just learning about it. It challenges you to look at things differently.
How so?
Well, it makes you really think about your own relationship with wealth.
Okay.
With giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Even with the role of faith in society. It kind of pushes you to look at those big questions.
Yeah. It's like we often try to put those things in separate boxes. Faith, charity, social justice. But Zakat shows us that they're all connected.
Yeah, it's like this holistic approach
exactly
to creating a better world.
Yeah.
And it all starts with you.
Wow, I love that. Well, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive on Zakat, I have to say I'm feeling pretty inspired.
I am too.
It's more than just money, isn't it?
It's so much bigger than that.
Yeah, it's about intention, it's about impact, it's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect way to put it.
And I hope that's what our listeners take away from this conversation.
Me too.
We've explored the spiritual core of Zakat, how it plays out in everyday life. We even busted a few myths along the way.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
But more than anything, I hope that this deep dive has just sparked some curiosity.
Yeah.
Inspired you to learn more about this ancient practice that's still so relevant to the world today.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There's a whole ocean of knowledge out there just waiting to be explored.
So keep those questions coming. Keep seeking understanding.
Yes.
And keep striving to make the world a little bit brighter, one act of kindness at a time.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, keep diving deep, everybody.